Hi everyone, welcome back to What Is This Weapon? We have another special episode for you here today. I'm Jonathan, this is Paul from Beretta Defense Technologies.
Hey, how you doing?
Great to meet you, Paul. Thanks so much for coming. Elephant in the room is this shotgun on the table. Now this, you might recognise generically as the Benelli M4, an Italian classic to use the reference.
Something big, bold.
May I suggest the Benelli M4?
But this is a special one, is it not, Paul? Can you tell us about it? It does have some helpful text written on it.
Sure. So it's the AI Drone Guardian version. It has a couple of design changes. So on the outside of it, you can see it's been milled at the front to have a red dot. We haven't actually got a red dot mounted at the moment, but we normally have a Steiner MPS on there. And then the biggest change to it is actually internal. So the barrel geometry inside has changed. It has a much longer forcing cone, similar to what you might see in some of the sporting shotguns. It has a longer choke as well. Again, similar to what you might see in sporting shotguns, because counter-drone stuff is obviously dealing with shooting fast-moving targets. So it's no longer just a shotgun for kind of opening up doors and the usual combat operations. They're now looking at being a bit more accurate. And if you want to be accurate with a shotgun, you need to think about getting a really consistent pellet spread, which is the same sort of stuff we're looking at from the sporting disciplines, of taking some of that technology and bringing it into the combat shotguns.
Interesting. So we see the sporting world bleeding into the sort of tactical and military and police shooting world in rifles, in pistols, and the same thing's happening with shotguns, but in a kind of a niche. Well, I say niche. Niche implies it's not significant. It's extremely significant, because counter drone is obviously a really big issue. Has been for a number of years now. My only exposure to counter drone small arms was a few years ago. I shot something with a net-based ammunition.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? Is that something you shoot out of this, or
yes.
Are we looking at the pellets more so?
I was actually involved in the development of that ammunition, so that's probably the Skynet or the Primetech DB5.
It was Primetech. Yeah.
So they have a net that spreads out to about 1.5 meters. They're still on the market. The only issue I have with those is that they're quite wind affected, so they're good for close range engagement, stuff like maybe in prisons. That would have an application there, where the drones are moving quite slowly. You know that they have to land because they're going to drop off some merchandise into the prison. English prisons, you couldn't do it because there's no firearms in those, but certainly in other countries you could utilise them for that. But in terms of combat and getting out to, say, 100 metres, you would really struggle with the nets, because they do start to get moved around a little bit. So it depends on your usage case, I guess.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, that gun was quite a short-barreled gun as well. This is like, well, again, looks like a sporting shotgun. Yes. Long barrel, long magazine tube. Obviously, you're going to want, in case of missing, you're going to want more ammunition on board than just a few rounds or 3 rounds or whatever. So it does resemble a sort of game gun, as it were. A competition gun.
In this guy's, yes, you can get a shorter barrel. So if you were having to travel in a vehicle or something and you wanted something that would be a bit more easy to carry around, we do shorter versions. I think this is the 26-inch barrel, which is obviously giving you the best velocity. And velocity is key for this kind of stuff, because we want as much kinetic energy on target as possible. When you're hitting a drone, it's obviously in the air. We need a lot of kinetic energy on that drone to catastrophically damage it and take it out of the sky. The problem is when you hit them, they actually move.
I did not consider this at all, I must admit.
They're robbing you of kinetic energy. Yeah. So a lot of people think, well, I could just hit them with like a standard shotgun with some standard bird shot. We've tried that. It doesn't work very well. It works on really cheap drones, but if you're actually using decent FPVs, the sort of thing you might see on a battlefield, they're quite robust. And a lot of that has come from the sporting marketplace as well. Right. So in the sporting marketplace, they make the propellers a little bit more rubberized, so that when the drones crash, the guys that race them don't have to keep buying new propellers all the time. Okay. The problem for us is that is now being used in warfare. And if you shoot them with standard shot, the rubber is almost self-healing, or it just moves as the pellets go through it.
Almost like an aircraft fuel tank kind of situation.
It's incredibly resilient. The bodies themselves are quite resilient, because they're obviously built to take a knock at really high speed.
So they're not armoured. Well, I assume they're not being armoured.
They're not armoured, because
but they're just resilient.
At the moment, it's people sort of think these drones can just fly around forever. In fact, they've got a life of about 20 minutes when they're flying, because there's always this game you're playing with, like heaviness of the thing, how much battery capacity it's got, the weight of the battery, and then the faster you fly and the more acrobatics you do, the shorter the time you've actually got in the air.
And you've got a payload on there, presumably.
You've got a payload, so these guys are kind of against time limits, and they're actually looking to just get straight to target in the most economical and efficient way possible.
Okay.
And you know that if you're then up armoring the drone, there's an argument, yes, that would make it more resilient, but it would also maybe halve its time in the air because it's making it heavier.
So if net is an option, but it's a closer range thing, what are they using out, or they being the users of these things, out to further distances?
I've actually got some with me. So this is our 12 gauge ammo, the Norma Adler, which stands for anti-drone long effective range. And it's also, as you might note, I think it's German for eagle, but they are, to all intents and purposes, like a standard 2 3/4 inch shot shell. No difference in the outer aspect. The magic is really in the inner. It's the pellets are made of tungsten, which is a very high density tungsten, higher density than you would probably find in any sporting load. The downside to that is it makes it very expensive, because tungsten isn't cheap, and the higher the density, the more expensive it gets. On the positive side, you're getting more mass on target. So if you think of each pellet like a bullet, you're getting higher BC pellets, basically, the same as you would if you increased the weight of a projectile on a rifle.
Ballistic coefficient?
Yeah, so you're getting a higher ballistic coefficient in these pellets, so they have less velocity decay, and the velocity is key to getting those on target, because we've only got so much mass we can play with.
And they're lead-free.
And they're lead-free, which is always a bonus, but they produce really consistent patterns at distance. They don't tend to spread quite as far as lead or steel would in a pattern. So very consistent, nice tight pattern, a lot of energy on target, and the same sort of recoil impulse as you would expect from like a standard sporting load, pretty much.
Sure. Yeah, perhaps my next question is, I mean, I can only imagine being in the moment of one of these things coming at you, or even toward someone else, and have it being the one responsible for taking that down. It's effectively it's anti-aircraft gunnery that we've had for over a century, but in a very specific way. And anyone that's seen the news lately will have some understanding of that threat. They might be thinking, people watching this, surely we've got those electronic gizmos that take drones down, but they've got fairly massive limitations, haven't they? Especially if you're dealing with fibre optic.
So we need to think of, like, in terms of CUAS, we need to think of it as multi-layered. So you might employ electronic means to take drones out or take control of those drones, but that's not a guaranteed situation. And that becomes like a cat and mouse game, that you develop some electronics that is capable of jamming the drone or taking over control of that drone. The drone guys will then develop a way around that, and they will find a different band to operate on. Now they're running fibre optic cables on these drones, so you can't actually do much with that at all. They're basically hardwired, and they can, some of them can even do everything themselves, so they're completely automated. So there's no communication at all. All the communication is actually on board the drone itself. It's basically telling itself where to go. So there's all kinds of ways around electronic methods. Then you have to think of it in terms of economy. So a lot of people have said to me, well, we would just buy one of those laser systems and shoot it with one of those, or we've got a missile that could take a drone out. There's all these different things people think would be really good for drones. But the problem is the drones on the battlefield cost about between $300 and $500 each. If you're employing a weapon system that's $10,000 every time you launch it, then you're going to be losing a war of economy. And that's just as important as anything else in warfare. A lot of wars are won or lost based on finances.
Sure.
And the same thing with these laser systems, that if you're employing a £4.5 million laser system that also has its downsides, it's heavy, you can't move it around easily. If there's guys out in the field, they're not going to be able to take this thing with them. So it's a fairly static idea, the laser at the moment, because the amount of energy it needs.
Unlike something like this.
Yeah.
Which
can go anywhere.
Old school technology, very man portable, very flexible. I mean, we keep coming back to the shotgun in various ways, whether it's blowing doors off hinges or holes in people, or in this case, specialised for counter drone.
Yeah, so this is like the last sort of layer of that drone defence. So you might employ those other layers that we've just talked about, and they may or may not be effective. And then we get to the last layer, which is when the drone breaks through those other things, the guys still want something to, you know, rely on, and it's kind of a last ditch scenario, basically, that it's better than nothing. And we're never saying like the shotgun is the be all and end all of killing drones, because it still takes a lot of skill. It would take like nerves of, you know, steel as well, because you've got this thing coming at you, but that's better than not having anything at all. A lot of people have said, well, aren't they concerned about like shrapnel injuries and stuff, because the kills they're getting with shotguns are quite close range.
Yeah.
But then you speak to the guys on the ground and they're saying, well, we would rather kill it at 20 metres than it actually blow us to pieces. So I'll take a shrapnel wound over being blown up, you know. Like, it really is a kind of last ditch scenario.
Yeah. Fortunately, I get to sit behind a desk reading about this stuff, frankly. But no, that's fascinating. Thank you. Well, we can't shoot this at drones, not in here anyway, but I can shoot it. So thanks to you guys bringing this. Yeah. We will have a go at some paper with it at the very least. Thank you so much for that information and for bringing the gun.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we've got the AI Drone Guardian from Benelli. It's based on the Benelli M4, as we've mentioned. I don't believe I fired a Benelli M4, so we're going to put a couple of rounds just into the backstop there, and then we're going to put one onto a target to see if we can get an idea of the pattern at this distance. God forbid a drone would get that close to you, but that's what we're going to do. Yeah, well, predictably, 12 gauge has a bit of a punch to it. There's no getting around that, but certainly not excessive. And if that was a drone, I dare say it would be dead. But we'll have a look at the target and see what the shot is doing at this short distance. We're only at about 10 meters or perhaps a bit less. So not bad, as you would hope for at that distance, like less than 10 meters, I think we were there. Big hole at the bottom is just the shot cup. But just about all of those tungsten pellets, there are maybe 4 or 5 that are outside the A4 target there. The rest are on, which you'd hope for. Obviously, that's iron sights, static. It's not zipping around through the air, coming at me with a bomb attached to it. But it does the job. And you can see that, you know, you would think maybe that's birdshot. It kind of is birdshot size, but it's specialised ammunition for taking down drones. The gun itself, really good. It's gas operated, the Benelli M4 system. It's their Argo system. And I think that takes a little bit of the punch out of the recoil for the user as well. So probably a good platform to begin with. And just, yeah, interesting to be shooting counter-drone ammunition. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and special thanks to Beretta Defense Technologies for bringing us some interesting contemporary firearms to look at with you here on the channel. As always, please do check out our website and our various social media channels. We have various events going on always, and our special exhibition, Genghis Khan, How the Mongols Changed the World, is well worth checking out as well. Whatever you do, guys, see us again here on the channel next week.